What's up, y'all? It's your boy VD Dangerous back again with another installment of 1430. Hope you're enjoying the holidays. I know it's been a little minute since my last video dropped, the one discussing Lil Wayne. The channel crossed over 200 subscribers. So thank you so much for supporting me, for subscribing and leaving a comment, leaving a like on the videos. You know, I'm in the comments having healthy debates, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. You know, it's all love, and I appreciate you watching. If you are not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, you like this video, and you share it. Let them know what we talking about here on 1430. I feel like I finally got my groove on what I want 1430 to be. So make sure you're tuned in, because in 2025, I'm definitely hitting the ground running, you know, starting in January. Like I have a lot of ideas, a lot of videos that I'm putting together, and I'm definitely going to be a little bit more active in the next year. So you don't want to miss that. So make sure you're subscribed and you're tuned in. But for the last video of 2024, I'm going to be talking about my favorite rap albums, what I call the best rap albums of 2024. And I decided to just stick with rap. Usually in the past, I've done all genres, just albums that I've really enjoyed and I wanted to highlight, from, you know, R&B, rap, and maybe some alternative or some folk. You know, I listen to a little bit of everything. But despite, you know, what the naysayers are saying, you know, everybody's worried about Billboard chart positions or record sales. Like, I feel like hip hop on a creative level, on an artistic level, is having a fantastic year. Honestly, this might be one of the best years in hip hop, period. Just on a creative, artistic point. You know, we had the beef with Drake and Kendrick and Cole, sort of. But outside of that, like, you know, this year has given us classics from the new generation, the current generation, and even legends from, you know, decades ago, like the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, 2010s. Like, all of them have been dropping just amazing work. And there's not too many other years you could say that, where all these different generations, from young to, you know, the legends, are dropping stellar work. And you're going to see that in the albums that I've picked for this list. Now, make sure you leave a comment if you feel like there's an album that I might have missed, or if you disagree with my ranking. You know, like I said, it's just my opinion, but, you know, I still would love to hear your thoughts. You know, I listen to a lot of music, but there's probably some music that I did not listen to this year and I might have missed. So if there's some albums that I should check out, just please leave them in the comments if I didn't mention them here. Also, I put out 2 shorts earlier this week talking about some of my honorable mentions. So if they're not on this list, they might be on the honorable mentions list. I also did another short talking about my rap album, my non-hip hop albums, just because I still wanted to highlight them, even though I'm just focusing on rap today. So without further ado, let's get into the list, starting with number 10. And, you know, some of my homies are going to be looking at this a little bit controversial that it's so low. But, you know, like I said, it's been an amazing year. And to be honest, this album was really good. Still a little bit below my expectations. Freddie Gibbs, You Only Live Once. It's a dope album, don't get me wrong. I just feel like the bar is just so high for Freddie, for me. Like, I became a fan when I first heard Bandana. I went back and listened to his earlier work. Pinata, amazing. You Only Live Twice, the album, where basically this is like the sequel of, that one's amazing. And even the album he put out a few years ago that I think a lot of people were a little mixed on. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was the most recent project before this one. And I thought that was amazing, even if other people were a little mixed on it. I'm a little mixed on this one too, honestly. I love the narrative. There's some amazing tracks on it, like Cosmic Freestyle. Just the rapping on there is amazing. And I think it's On Set, that, like, Report the Set. I can't remember the name of it right now, but I remember that's the one he dropped the video for. It's like, God damn it and God Diddy. And those songs are amazing. There's a couple of other amazing too, especially the flip he did on the anniversary track is crazy. But I don't know, it's just the rest of it, not bad. It just didn't stick with me as much as like a Freddie project would. But I still was like, it's still one of the best projects to come out this year for me. So my number 9, I'm gonna go with Dark Time by Vince Staples. I got the list, and if you see me look down a little bit, I got the list right here. It's a lot of music. I can't just remember it off top. But Dark Times by Vince Staples. What I love about the run that Vince Staples is on right now is that he's able to do a lot with simplicity. He's able to say a lot, underneath, like subconsciously, but on the surface, it may not seem like he's saying a lot. Like I just kind of love that between his self-titled project, Motor Park, Broke My Heart, and this album here. He's just been able to master like these very simple beats, these very stripped back production, but it's still engaging, it's still entertaining, and it was definitely like one of my favorites. A lot of dope tracks on that one, but I would say Little Homies is the one that really like stuck with me. Like that's the song that really like was on replay over and over again from the album, and it's such an easy listen to. Like I really enjoy that. Like I don't need a lot. Sometimes it could be simple but effective, and that's what this album gives me. So if you ain't checked that one out, I don't hear a lot of people talking about this album as much as they should. Like it was definitely like one of the albums that really stuck with me more than anything this year. Like just in general, the West, you're going to see that in my list as I go up, but the West in general just own 2024 and are a big part of why I consider this one of the best years in hip hop, without question. But yeah, that was my number 9. Number 8, King of the Mischievous South 2 by Denzel Curry. Now I was a little bit on the fence about putting this one on the list, when it first came out. Like I really enjoy it. Like not Vince Staples, Denzel Curry is like a master of being able to, give you like this, two-side, like he's like a two-sided monster in my opinion, like a two-headed monster in my opinion. Like one minute he could be this very like lyrically dense, introspective artist, and on another hand, he could just be like having fun and like, kind of dumb it down a little bit and, lack a better phrase, and just have fun with it. Like he's still rapping, he's still giving you bars, but like now it's more about, having fun and hustling and, just really like, just it's not as deep, it's not as complicated. There's a little bit more bounce to it, and that's what this album is for me. But even then, I was a little bit on the fence about putting this album on here until the deluxe version came out. And then I realized why I was a little bit on the fence. And I feel like it's because I felt like it was missing something. Like it felt like it was incomplete. And like we put out the deluxe, it's not like how other people put out deluxe where they just put, the new music on the back of it. Like he's, put it in different spots or in the track list in between the songs from the original. And I felt like it filled in the gaps that I felt were there on the original, and it became one of my top 10 albums at that point. Like it fits, everything fits the album so perfectly and gave it the little bit that it was missing, in my opinion. So many tracks. Like this was one of my 3 albums that were like my go-to when I would go to the gym to work out. And there were so many joints that I really loved. Shout out to the song G's Up with 2 Chainz. I love the song with Ty Dolla $igns and Juicy J. I think that was called Cold Pimp. Oh man, and there's this Scared with Kenny Mason and Project Pat is my favorite track on that one. Project Pat, Kenny Mason, that beat is just ridiculous, and Denzel Curry, that was the song. That's the song. Like I loved almost every song. There's a few joints that I like. Not that they're bad. I could take them or leave it, especially towards the end of the album, like the last 2 tracks. Not really my style, but they're a good listen for what they are, especially in the gym. But man, that song Scared, that was a highlight. That was a highlight of the whole year for me. Just hearing Project Pat like that with Denzel Curry on that style of track, like yeah, that was one of the ones. All right, so now we're gonna go from this very like, I want to say, fun loving, not too complicated, and, a very stripped back, minimalistic approach to this very heavily dense, lyrical odyssey, which is Samurai by Lupe Fiasco. That's my number 7 album on my list. Huge Lupe fan, one of my biggest influences. You know, I'll definitely give him a lot of credit for somebody that just makes you like listen to the music so intently. And when I feel like I got everything, like I feel like I've done everything, I've heard everything, Lupe just finds a way to, you know, push the envelope just that little bit further. And that's what I feel like Samurai is. Like, it's a very loose narrative about Amy Winehouse as a battle rapper. Like, that concept sounds crazy, but once you listen to the album, it makes more sense. I don't know if it'll make total sense to most people, but it definitely made sense to me once I heard the album. And it's just a masterclass of rap. Like, where do I begin? Like, my favorite songs, I'd probably say like Palaces is definitely up there. There's something about that song. And you know, the thing about Lupe is that like you're gonna hear the song once when it first comes out, and then you're gonna hear it 5 years later, and then there's gonna be things that you catch about it that you didn't catch the first time. Like, to me, that's one of the reasons why I enjoy his music so much. And I feel like there's just stuff about that song that's gonna stick with me for a long time. But it just gave me a feeling when I first heard it, and when I still listen to it. And the song Cake is just a masterclass at, like, you know, lyrical gymnastics. Like, it may not be everybody's cup of tea. You know, a lot of people have, you know, very disparaging feelings towards like the rapidy rap style, so to speak. But that shit impresses me. That shit is what I live for. So it is right up my alley. Definitely an album if you into very like introspective lyricism. Definitely an album to check out. Going up to number 6. This is one of those aforementioned legends that I was talking about, putting out classic material in 2024. It's Common and Pete Rock, The Auditorium Volume 1. I didn't know what to expect. Common is one of those rappers that I feel like doesn't get the credit he deserves for his discography. Like, there's the albums that everybody remembers, like Water for Chocolate, B, but he has a plethora of albums. Like, one of my favorite albums that is really slept on by him is The Dreamer and The Believer. I feel like it's an album that didn't get enough attention when it came out, but him and No ID sound amazing on this one. And him and Pete Rock on this album sound amazing. And what I love about this one is that I feel like over Pete Rock's production, yeah, he still has a message. Yes, he's still talking about something, but I don't know. I feel like Common just kind of let loose and just really let himself just rap and have fun and just kind of take it back to almost like the freestyle days. And he is rapping his ass off all over this album. And, you know, of course, Pete Rock's production sounds phenomenal the entire time. It's just, you know, something people have been saying it for a long time, and I definitely agree, especially with Nas and Hit Boy had, you know, showing what they were able to do over their King Disease / Magic run, that the one rapper, one producer album is like an unbeaten formula. And this is just another example of that. There's so many albums I really like. I love the song So Many People with Bilal. I like the opener, Dreaming. And there's I need to pull this song up because I was just gonna like let it go. But man, this one particular track really had me, you know, I was like in awe, like, you know, hearing Common rap at this ability after doing this for so long. The song Stellar, man, like talking about, like I was talking about it with Lupe, like that's a masterclass of just rapping. And I just love it because it feels like Common just kind of letting loose and just having fun, and he's doing it over this amazing production. So yeah, man, the Auditorium Volume 1, since it is Volume 1, I hope we get a Volume 2. And I really love that it got the Grammy nomination. Like, seeing that being considered one of the best rap albums at an institution that don't necessarily always showcase the best that hip hop has to offer. Like, I really appreciate that album getting the nod, and a couple of the songs getting, you know, the nods in the Grammy nomination. So yeah, if you ain't checked that out, check that out. Check that out ASAP. All right, so we're gonna go to Now we're in my top 5. Gotta give it to Alligator Bites Never Heal by doechii. Doechii's having a breakout year. Her Tiny Desk was amazing. I can't remember which late night show it was, but it was the performance with her and the dancers with their hair braided together. Amazing. I saw her Camp Flognog performance too, and that was dope. That was dope. I like, doechii is definitely like, I feel like it's cliche at this point because everybody's been saying it, but she's definitely a breath of fresh air in hip hop. Not just for women. I don't want to limit it to just that, but just in general. Like, she's just a breath of fresh air when it comes to, rap. Just having a passion for it, having such an amazing talent for it, and feel like somebody that really cares, about the music they make. Like, when people talk about hip hop being in a bad spot, like, I think about artists like a doechii, who definitely need to be at the forefront. And Alligator Bites Never Heal just proves that, and deserves all the plaudits that it's been getting. If I had to pick one song to highlight, it's Nissan Altima. I mean, in my personal life, I drive a Nissan Altima, so it definitely like stuck with me just because of that. I could bump that in my Nissan Altima. But like, talk about breath control, talk about somebody rapping their ass off and just really showing what they can do lyrically. That's one of my songs. That was the song that really, I mean, I had already been a fan, but that was the song that really made me stand up and pay attention. Also, Boom Bap. I know it's supposed to be kind of like a jab at the idea, like, she got to rap, like, she got to do some boom bap shit to prove herself as a female MC. But it still came out as an amazing song either way. So yeah, man. I mean, honestly, top to bottom, stellar project. And for it to have as many songs as it has, and for it to be as consistent as it is pretty dope. And it's categorized as a mixtape, but it's nominated for Best Rap Album at the Grammys, so I can put it on my top 10 albums of the year list. So we're gonna go from one TDE artist to another. This might be a little controversial too, like my Freddie Gibbs, placement, but it's Blue Lips by Schoolboy Q. This was like my number one album of the year for so long, until a few others albums came out, like, in the second half of the year. But there was nothing else touching this. Like, Blue Lips, like, Schoolboy Q has this crazy knack for finding these really left field, almost quirky, experimental type of production, but just can make it work. Like, he did that with the Collard Greens joint with Kendrick. Habits and Contradictions has a lot of that production. And, of course, Blank Face, the classic, like, has a lot of just like left field stuff. But Schoolboy Q knows how to make it work. Man, the song I want to highlight, of course, Thank God For Me. Thank God For Me is not only one of the best rap songs of the year, but like one of the best beats all year. Like, the beat switch from the first half to the second half, and then blending it all together at the end the way they did. I should have looked up the producer before I got on here, but shout out to you, because that was amazing. And just Schoolboy Q just sounds so revigorated. Like, I didn't like the last album, Crash Talk, as much. I don't know what happened with that one. It just didn't stick with me. It has a lot of joints on there that I've gone back and listened to that, I may have been a little harsh on when it first came out, but still below, what you would want from Schoolboy Q. But, he sounds hungry. He sounds reinvigorated on this one. Also, I want to give a shout out to Blue Slides. Blue Slides, amazing track. Like, Thank God For Me is hype, energetic Schoolboy Q, but Blue Slide shows that other side of them, that introspective side of them. And yeah, man, both of those songs and the whole album is dope. My number 4 pick. Number 3 is a little bit of a left field pick. It's an album that didn't get a lot of talk about it, but a guy that I really appreciate because of how, talk about left field with Schoolboy Q. This guy's completely left field. Completely, himself pushing the envelopes of creativity, and is not afraid to just say whatever. JPEG Mafia, I lay my life down for you. That album is so good. It was one of the 2 albums that I bought on Bandcamp. this year. I bought this album and I bought Why Lord by Anderson .Paak. That's not on this list because it's not a hip hop album, but it definitely would be probably my number one, honestly, if I was doing albums other than hip hop. But this album was definitely one of the ones I had to have. Like, where just, I just appreciate somebody that, like I said, just is gonna go completely out there with their music. And I felt the same way about Scaring the Hoes last year with him and Danny Brown. This one is another example of that. It's not for everybody, like I said about with Lupe, but if you want to try something that's a little different, that really takes it there, like really pushes the boundaries of creativity, check out this JPEG Mafia album. I promise you. And it was one of my other albums, because I mentioned with Denzel Curry, it was another one of those albums that I put in the gym whenever I'm looking for something. It's usually between those two and my number one pick. If I had to pick one song from it, it's the Don't Rely on Other Men, excuse me. Love this album version of this. And New Black History with Vince Staples. Two very dope tracks. But honestly, you can't go wrong with any of these tracks on this album, if you're into this stuff. So that's my number 3 pick. Number 2 would have definitely been my number 1 if it wasn't for another late contender that came out towards the end of the year. And that's Chromacopia by Tyler, the Creator. Some people would debate if this is a straight rap album, but it's not like Igor, where that one felt deliberately like a pop album. This one feels like it has a lot more rap into it, a lot more hip hop influence to it. So I would put this in the rap category. But another person that really pushes the boundaries, creativity, that takes it there, may not be to everybody's taste, but you can always rely on Tyler to give you stellar, musicality. His rapping is actually improved a lot. I loved it on Noid. Thought I was dead. Not I thought I was dead, but thought I was dead. And the song with Doechii, I can't remember the name of it right now, but yeah, it's a really dope album. And Tyler's getting way more personal, way more introspective, and I really appreciated that. The song that stuck out to me, Thought I Was Dead, especially with the video, was one of my favorite songs, especially a couple of the bars where he threw a jab at the white boys making fun of hip hop. I really love that. You saw, watch my video about Tommy Richmond if you want to get a little bit more insight about how I feel and why that line resonated with me. But the song that I want to highlight is Like Him song, not even a rap song, but it is such a beautiful song. It's such a emotional song, anthemic song. It's the song that I probably replay most out of all of the songs on the album. And it's a pretty easy listen if you're a Tyler fan. If you're a fan of Flower Boy, you're a fan of Igor, even a little bit of Call Me If You Get Lost, you'll definitely appreciate this album. Now, if this album was on track to be my number 1, but then the rapper of the year, Rob Markman already said it, there's no debate. The rapper of the year, Kendrick Lamar, decided to put an exclamation mark on his stellar run in 2024 with the album G&X. And that is my number 1 pick. I was debating. I was going back and forth. Was it recency bias? But then I went back and I listened to all these albums. I would listen to all of them just to make sure that my rankings were what they were first. My first thought, moved some stuff around, but nothing was replacing the number 1 album. And it's really just that good. There's not a single flaw on this album to me. Even the Posse track, G&X, which I was not a big fan of when I first heard it. The beat is weird. The rapping I had to get used to a little bit from a couple of guys. I can't remember. I think it's doechii. I think he really showed out, but everybody else, I had to get used to it. But even that, in the context of the album and what Kendrick was trying to do with this album, it just works. It just works after a few more listens. But even with that song, even if that song remained a skip, just, man, you get him addressing everything to a certain extent on Whacked Out Murals. You get the beautiful R&B track like Luther. You get the West Coast vibes on songs like Hey Boo. Oh, no, sorry. Hey Now, Peekaboo, and TV Off. And, GNX track. And then Squabble Up. That was teased at the beginning of the Not Like Us video. And hearing the full song is even better than I imagined from the snippet that we heard at the beginning. And then the song Gloria. Like, you get this very fun album, this very like fun, tribute to the West Coast, tribute to the bass sound album, like, some of the tracks. But then you get the deeper cuts, the introspective, heady Kendrick, like Reincarnated, Gloria, like I mentioned. You get Man at the Garden. And then, I gotta give extra points to the Heart Part 6 sampling SWV, my favorite R&B girl group of all time. And, picking a song that, has very like special meaning to me and, my wife. So that just takes it over the top for me. But, just the storytelling of, TDE's rise and him, explaining why he left, TDE in a way that like we all kind of figured, hey, he's been on a label, he wants to do his own thing. But it was just kind of beautiful to, hearing him tell the story the way it was, and seeing how these guys still have love even though they're not working together anymore. It's an amazing album. I mean, if I had to pick a favorite, it's Whacked Out Murals. I just feel like there's so many lines on that album. Like, that song feels like a mission statement for the change that Kendrick wants to see. And, the shift that feels like is taking place in hip hop right now, especially after the the ramifications of the greatest rap battle of all time that happened this year. And you feel a shift in the air in hip hop right now. And for everybody saying that hip hop's in a bad place, everybody talking about the doom and gloom that they see for hip hop's future, I feel like this shift is coming at the right time, and I hope it continues going into 2025. But yeah, those are my 10 favorite albums of 2024. There's a few albums that didn't make the cut that's on my honorable mentions list. Like I said, the short is on the channel if you want to check that out to see if I mention them there, if you expected some other albums to end up on this list. And if you go watch that video and you still don't see the album that you feel should be listed, I mean, there's so many great albums. I mean, I didn't even get to, like the Navy Blue album or the Mavi album. Meg and Glorilla had like, pretty good projects this year. Benny the Butcher had a great project that came out to the beginning of the year. So yeah, man, let me know in the comments if there was something that you was rocking with that you don't see here, you don't see on my honorable mentions, and maybe it's something that I didn't even check out, and I will give it a shout out. And maybe in my next video, maybe even do a short. We have a few days before the end of the year. I might be able to get to some of those albums if I didn't, get a chance to highlight them here. But until next time, it's your boy Vinny Dangerous. I'll see you in the new year. Much love.